All right, listen. Before we get started, I just want to make sure. Last time you guys said my volume was a little bit too hot, so I just want to make sure I'm further from the microphone today, so it should be okay. But if I get some clipping, guys, please let me know. All right, don't wait till I'm halfway into the show to let me know about that. All right, thank you. How's everybody doing today? Nice to see you guys. I hope you guys are in tip top shape because we're gonna have a lot of stuff to talk about today. We're going to be talking about NAMM. We're going to be talking about gear. We're going to be talking about, all the great new acquisitions you guys probably made during the week. We'll get to that in a minute. First, I want to welcome everybody that's new, and of course, all the regulars here. I see that the regulars are always on time. You guys know more or less when the show starts. I guess you're now programmed to, I guess, remember to tune in at 10 o'clock, which is fantastic. But I noticed that a lot of other people kind of tune in at about 11 o'clock. They probably get notified, roll out of bed, get the little ping on their phone or something that the show's live, and then they finally do tune in. So I guess we'll see a few more people trickling in. If you guys are new and you don't know what Addicted to Gear is all about, I like to start the show by welcoming everybody to the only support group on YouTube for gear addicts like this that is 100% free. Uh, like I always say, I think I like to refer to it as therapy. Although I think it's more, we're probably bad influencers more than anything else because we kind of encourage people to buy stuff. But so the show doesn't cost you a dime, but tuning into the show and getting gas for gear probably costs you a heck of a lot. So take that for what it is. Take that with a big grain of salt, but take advantage that we're here every Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's a great way to start your day. So if you're up, grab yourself a coffee, relax, put your feet up, and just enjoy about an hour or so of gear talk. What better way is there to start a Sunday? And I hope you guys are already having a great Sunday. So welcome everybody. Let me just say hi to the regulars here: Presley, Dana, New Jersey, Keith, Steve's here too. Good morning, Steve. He's addicted to gear, and I think he's new. So Steve, if you're new, welcome. Nice to see a few new faces here as well. So Presley, I was mentioning, Cushman, Fat Philosopher, The Nye, Quicksilver, Eddie Jr., Gospel of Mark. What else? What else? Jack. So welcome to everybody. I'll just do a blanket welcome to everybody. Otherwise, we're going to spend a few minutes just going through all the names here. I know that you guys are raring to go, so I don't want to delay the gear talk. First of all, jump right in if you have anything you want to share with us today. I'm just going to take a sip of water. Don't wait till the end of the show because I often get last minute questions like just before I'm about to close the show, and I hate to cut people off. So if you have any gear related questions you want to ask, go right ahead. Other than that, I want to see a show of hands. Just say yes or thumbs up or whatever if anybody's fallen off the wagon this week and purchased some gear. Um, I know a lot. I have. I know I have, but I want you guys to jump in first. Let me know if you guys, even if it's just something small, maybe just a guitar strap, a new cable, perhaps a new pedal, something, a metronome, anything. It doesn't really matter. Just tell me what you guys have grabbed or snagged or possibly looking at grabbing. Um, so we're going to be talking about NAMM. And Fat Philosopher brings up a good point. He says, not as many NAMM videos as I thought there would be. I think NAMM overall is kind of becoming a little obsolete, in my opinion. I love it. I'd love to participate. I wasn't able to go this year. Maybe Winter NAMM at some point would be really great. But I think what's happening is that, there's so many videos and so many influencers looking at the gear nowadays that do you really need to pay a lot of money to fly somewhere to stand at a booth and possibly get to try some new gear? I couldn't think of a better way of spending a day, but a lot of people might not be interested in that. So, I think that's probably why. Also, the other thing is, we're still getting out of COVID. You know what I mean? There's still a lot of people that are not necessarily too crazy about going to a place where the common comment after the event was, I caught anthrax. In the old days, you'd come back and you'd get sick and you'd catch something. We didn't know what it was, but you'd come back with something. And nowadays, with COVID and everything, we don't really need that kind of anxiety. So I think a lot of people maybe sat this one out. Um, Presley says, so my PV Classic 30 started taking a poop yesterday. It pulled an amber. What happened? The volume keeps going up and down. Time to take it to the workbench to pull the tubes, clean the pots, and pray. It's probably just a tube situation, Presley. I don't know if you have a tube tester, but you should get one if you really are dealing with a lot of amps. I bought one a long time ago on eBay. It's a vintage one. It's old. You can smell it. It smells old. But it's great. It came with a photocopied version of the manual so that I have all of the settings for all the different tubes. And it sure beats the heck out of guessing which tube is bad. You put them all in, and it's really easy to see which tubes are actually faulty. So you don't necessarily have to like buy a whole set, and it's very handy. And I think you could still get these units on eBay. They still pop up from time to time. Not that expensive. I think it's a good investment. Good morning, Mike. How are you? Haven't seen you in a while, Mike. What's going on? All right. So somebody, well, let me get to Mark's question here. Mark says, Tony, any power trio tips? I've been in a lot of bands, but never a trio, practicing for the first time next week in hopes to get a new band going. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, power trios, what's the tip? What tip can I share? In a way, power trio is a lot of fun because everybody's got to do more than one thing. So usually, the bassist or the guitarist will be the singer. The backup vocals will be supported by the other band members as well, and I think it's fun. You don't have to compete with another guitarist. You know what I mean? It's you got a lot more room in the mix. But as far as tips go, I don't know what to tell you, man. I just think power trios are a lot of fun. I think you're gonna like it. So I'm holding. Somebody commented, I think, on this guitar. I saw it just swing by. I don't know if it was you, Mark. This is my Harley Benton. You guys probably saw this one already. It used to be white. I decided to make it Inferno Red, and I think it looks a lot better in Inferno Red, don't you? This is Inferno Red metallic. I think it's a Chrysler color. It's a dupli color paint that I used with some 2K clear on top of it. I did this rather hastily. I did it really quickly, but I think it turned out quite nice. I think it came out pretty good. I don't know why. To me, this is what the Harley Benton should have been. I don't know why they came out with a white one and a silver one. The silver one doesn't, to me, is a little bit tacky, and the white one is okay, but I'm not a big fan of pure white. Maybe if it was like a vintage white or something. It's not exactly a Ferrari red. Ferrari is a little bit lighter, but it's a nice color because there are a little. You can't see it here because the light's not bright enough, but it does have a little metallic shine to it. There are little metal flakes in it, very small, so it's not like you know, in your face, but they're, when the sun or the light catches it in just the right angle, you can see the metallic. Um, it turned out pretty good. It's not perfect, and I'm still doing things to it, but I did this really fast. I did this within a couple of days. That's the great thing about the 2K Clear. It dries really fast and hard, and you don't have to be as worried burning through the finish. It's a little bit. I should clean it. There's fingerprints and everything, so you can't really see. But anyways, I've been playing it, so that's why it's a little greasy. The other things I did with this guitar, just so you guys know, this is what Harley Benton should have done. First of all, I don't know if you noticed, I upgraded the tuners. So I took out those Mickey Mouse little junior style tuners that I never liked. They look like they belong on a toy. I know the juniors had those tuners on them. Never liked them. Got rid of them. Put in a set of tuners that are these are Wilkinson tuners. I changed the nut, although I didn't have the proper nut. I did put in. This is a Tone Ninja nut, which is sort of like a Graphtec type nut. The original one was more plasticky. Although I wanted to put a black one on there, I didn't have any more left. I think I used most of those for my PRSs. So I'm probably going to get another black one. I put this one in there for the time being. It's not even glued in place. I can actually move it. The reason is because I had to reslot it to the proper depth, and now I got to recontour it because it's the strings are a little deep. So I like to take the nut off when I'm doing that out of the guitar and then do it, reshape it, put it back in. So those are nice upgrades on the guitar. One of the big upgrade I did was changing the bridge. The original bridge that came with this guitar had adjustable saddles, but the entire bridge was really thick. It was almost like almost an inch thick, and I didn't like it because it was very rough on the palm. So I took a wraparound bridge similar to what you would see on a PRS. This is also a Wilkinson bridge, by the way. And I could wrap around it, and works much better in my opinion, so much more comfortable. I kept the original pickups in. I shielded the cavity. For some reason, Harley Benton doesn't shield the cavity on these guitars. Although shielding doesn't do much on a P90 guitar. It does help a little bit, but not really that much. But I decided to do that anyways because I was in there. And there was a couple of little high frets that I leveled off. I didn't do a complete fret level on this guitar, but just there was a 2 or 3 frets that were a little bit high. So I took care of those. I put them in their place. And the only other thing I want to do is I want to switch. Right now, I'm plugged into my Dirty Shirley back there, but it won't sound good because we're far away from the microphone. But right now the volume knob is this one, which I don't like. I want to put it. I want to put it on the front one. So, anyways, I want to switch so that the volume knob is here. The tone knobs are back there. I'll put the bridge here since I use this one most of the time. I'll put the neck here, and anyways, just got to rearrange a couple of things. But it's gonna be pretty cool once I'm done. And I hope eventually, maybe I'll do a video on this guitar, and I'll put the title exactly what the Harley Benton should have been. And maybe the guys at Harley Benton will take notice and come out with a model with these features and make it nicer. But I really think the black nut would be nicer. What do you guys think? I think black on black. This kind of sticks out. So that's it. That's one of the projects I was working on. I mentioned that when the nice temperature comes along, I like to work on some projects. So that was number one. One down, a few more to go. Let's see here. Rico, nice to see you, Rico. Hey, how's it going? Hey, Surfer Bye. Nice to see you. Octopus Ears as well. Cool, cool. So, did I do a video on the process? I actually didn't do a video on the process. I tell you why. Because when I'm really trying to get something done really quickly, like videotaping the process makes it like 3 times longer. And a lot of times, what ends up happening is that, especially when you're dealing with paint, the paint process, you can't videotape that stuff because it gets all over the camera equipment. I did take some pictures. I could put together. Maybe what I'll do is when I talk about the upgrades, I can put some pictures up that I took of part of the processes, and share that with you guys as well if you guys like to see that part of it. I think that would be a good idea. So, by the way, thank you guys for taking the survey. For those of you who did take the survey, I had put a survey up about 4 days ago or something like that, and I just asked you guys to vote on which of the following guitar effect pedals you would like to see in a upcoming review. And although they were pretty much all Flamma pedals, I'm not going to be reviewing only Flamma pedals. There's a bunch more that I have in line, but I wanted to know what you guys thought, and the results are in, and it looks like the Flamma delay was the winner by a landslide. 33% said you wanted to see the delay video, which is cool. I can do that. Second is the drive, 26%. No big surprise there. Everybody likes drive pedals. And then the noise gate came in third, which is surprising because a noise gate is kind of anticlimactic in terms of a video review, but I guess you guys want to see how well it works. That's fine. After that is the reverb, and after that is the modulation, which in a way it's funny because the modulation is actually the most interesting pedal of the bunch. You get a lot of really cool effects out of that. But I'll go by your votes. I'm aiming to please. So I'll be trickling out those videos, and you'll be seeing them on the channel shortly. Also, I wanted to say that if you guys are interested in pickups, as I am, I spent a good hour with Brian Porter just the other day, and we basically had a chat about pickups, about the process, about the challenges, about his, the pickups that he's working on, some new stuff that's coming out. So if you guys are interested in pickups and you like the topic of pickups, then definitely check it out. I'll probably put that video up Monday. I'm just uploading it and just doing what I need to do. But that'll probably be up on Monday. So if you guys are interested in that, you can. I would recommend you tune in. Jot it down somewhere. Tune in. Let me just go back in a couple of questions here. So not that many of you guys are shy. Not that many of you answered the question as to whether or not you guys bought something, unless I missed it. I'll just scroll back a little bit and see. Maybe I missed a couple here. I don't think so. Keith says on my TV looks bright red, on my tablet looks maroon. Yeah, depending on how you're looking at it, it's totally different. Red does that, especially if it's a metallic color. Tends to reflect a lot of the surrounding elements in the room and the light. So, but yeah, I noticed that too when you look at it on your phone or you look at it on your laptop. It tends to change a little bit. Yeah, going back to the comment on the power trios, I agree with Surfer By. The power trio was, in my opinion, also make you a better player all around. And some of my favorite bands were trios. I like the Police, I like Rush. There's a lot of other bands that were trios as well. Some very good bands, actually. So a trio is pretty cool. Fat Philosopher's daughter is joining her first band. She made me change her strings. Awesome, awesome. What's the name of the band, Fat Philosopher? Do they have a name yet? That's always the hardest part about starting a band. Is thinking of a decent name that doesn't sound stupid. Octopus here says trios are tough too. Practice a lot. That's my advice. I think practicing a lot should be standard, regardless if it's a trio or not. I think it's gonna be fun, man. Surfer By says I got used to wearing a mask. I like I like that I haven't been sick or caught a cold since I started wearing one, and it makes me anonymous with the paparazzi. Yeah, what I like about wearing masks is that when you're in public and somebody says something dumb, you can make a goofy face and nobody realizes that you're mocking them. You know, you can stick your tongue out, or you know. Is that a bad thing? Am I a bad person for doing that? Um, all right. So um, as far as the Brian Porter interview slash, well, it wasn't really an interview. It was more like a chat. Surfer By says, I love Brian Porter. I did a HSS build with a set of his pickups. He's very responsive and will work with you on the tone you're after. Yeah, exactly. I actually asked him to send me a HSS build as well for my Sur guitar. That was before I actually converted it into a HH configuration. So those pickups sounded really good. Um, I just find that for me, the middle pickup, especially when there's humbucker and a middle pickup, like a single coil, it kind of gets in my way when I'm picking. So I prefer to go either three single coils or humbucker. Otherwise, the middle pickup tends to get in my way. So I ended up making that mod. But yeah, Brian really winds some amazing pickups. I highly recommend them. Uh, Rich says, I just picked up an Ibanez IC300 Iceman. Cool. Hey, the speaking of Ibanez, they released a few new models at NAMM this year. All overpriced, in my opinion, but they looked cool. I think they had a Satriani version, a Vi version. They had a few other ones. I didn't really pay attention to them. I'm not like huge into the Ibanez guitars at the moment, but I did note that they came out with some new models. So let's talk about gear. Let's talk about um, I'm just slowly scrolling by the comments just to see if I missed anybody's comment. Alexander says saw Coldplay last night, just incredible. Yeah, those guys they got a lot of energy, man. I really like them. You know, a lot of people think that their songs are just glorified lullabies, but I don't think so. I think they have great hooks. I think they put on a great show, a lot of good energy, and definitely a lot of energy, good vibes. I never saw them live. That's probably a show I'd like to catch eventually, maybe with one of my kids or something. There's not a lot of shows that I still would want to see, guys. I was just thinking about that the other day. Like, I'm all showed out. You know, all of the older bands that I liked are kind of having a hard time doing it, and whether they can do it or not, the price of the tickets are exorbitant. The last shows I went to, and this is quite a while ago, I paid a fortune to go see the Police with my wife when they came back as a trio again. Paul McCartney, that was many years ago now, but he was still able to pull it off and sing. John Fogerty. I remember seeing Tom Petty when he was still alive. That was a great show. Way back when, John Cougar, when he was still, you know, doing his thing. Um, you know, Santana, Carlos Santana. You know, they're all great, but I just find that many of the bands that I liked. Let's face it, it's time to hang it up. You know what I mean? So the only new or relatively new band that I would really like to go see, but they rarely come to Quebec, Canada, or Montreal, is Rival Sons. If they would come, I would definitely go see them. They tend to play more festival type shows outside, not necessarily indoor venues. But yeah, I missed an opportunity to see them when they came at a relatively small venue here. I think it was a university or a college that they played at, and that was before they started to really become bigger. Um, but I'm gonna try to I'll try to catch them. I'm gonna see what their itinerary is for this year, and see if they're gonna be touring or not. All right. Surfer By says I got McCartney this week in Boston. Still debating on going. I've seen him many times, and the tickets are expensive. Yeah, but how many more times are you going to get an opportunity to see him, right? I don't know how many times you've actually seen him, but the last few shows that I've seen on YouTube, like little clips of his shows, it's his age is starting to show. Although he has an amazing band, his voice cracks and stuff a little bit. But I'm a big Beatles fan, so for me it's always a thrill. Captain Howdy says best show I've seen in a while. Blackberry Smoke, Government Mule, $50 for 2 tickets, well worth it. I'd love to see Government Mule. Again, they rarely come to Canada. I don't know if it was because they had some kind of issues with drugs or something, but they seem to avoid Canada for some reason. I'd like to see the Black Crows. I never actually got an opportunity to see the Black Crows. Now that they seem to be back together again, and they usually do small venues, but again, they hardly ever come to Canada. So we're kind of we're missing a lot of good ones here, unfortunately. Hey Leo, what's up, buddy? Hey Davis, nice to see you, man. Davis, you don't have to apologize, man. No worries. It's Sunday. It's Sunday. It's all right. Woke up late. Guys, if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be getting up early on Sunday. So I'm really surprised and pleased that you guys are getting up early to tune in to me. Who would have thought that you guys want to tune in to watch me? But here we are. So I appreciate that. Yeah, Paul McCartney will be 80. 80, man. There's a lot of people, unfortunately, passing away. Yeah, some big name artists, unfortunately, are no longer with us. And it doesn't. You don't have to be 80, right? A lot of them, unfortunately, pass sooner than that. I've been to half a dozen concerts so far this year, says Alexander, including Journey, Harry Style, Imagine Dragons, Billie Eilish. Uh, have a teen daughter. I have two daughters. They're not teens, but they don't necessarily want me to go to their concerts. And to be honest with you, I'm not really into the style of music that my older daughter likes. My younger daughter, thankfully, hasn't wanted to go to many concerts yet, so that's maybe a good thing. Mind you, the last 2 years it's been a wash since we weren't able to do anything. So, maybe she missed out on the whole concert thing. Liptech one says I missed the past 2 weeks, all due to it being an early Sunday morning show. Sorry, man. Sorry, Liptech. Yeah, we're here. I'm here most of the time. Well, almost every Sunday, except for the rare occasions. 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So put your little reminder if you're free. You can watch in bed. The phone rings. You just wake up and watch. Got Marcus saying I'm going to see the Black Crows later this month. Tony, let me know how it is, man. I really like the Black Crows. Um, they remind me of the classic rock bands, of yesteryear, a cross between the Stones and a few other bands all mixed in together. Um, I'd love to see them. All right, all right. Time to move from Canada. Yeah, man. Tell me about it, Alexander. It's been long overdue. I may have to move to Boston. I love Boston, by the way. Um, let's see here. Surfer By says, I'd like to see the Black Crowes with Jimmy Page. Yeah, tell me about it. I was just talking about that, I think, one or two shows back. Great, great show that they never released on DVD or streaming, but you can catch it on YouTube. A fantastic show. I'd be up for that anytime. Anytime. All right, all right, all right. Purchased, so the Nye says, purchased a used Larive acoustic slash electric, made in Vancouver, no serial number, at least 25 years old. Anyone familiar with the brand? I know the brand since I'm in Canada. That's a very common brand here. Good reputation also. Um, and if it's 25 years old, it must sound great. It definitely, there's something about older acoustic guitars. They just kind of age like wine and really sound so much better as they get older. They become kind of crisp sounding, in my opinion. And if it's 25 years old and in good condition, hang on to that guitar. I'm sure it's wonderful. Fat Philosopher says the Black Crowes is a classic rock band. Yes, but when I say classic rock, I'm thinking more like my classic rock. Like the kids today. Pearl Jam is classic rock to the kids today. Classic rock, Nirvana is classic rock. To me, that's not necessarily classic rock because I'm older. For me, it's the Stones, it's Pink Floyd, it's Led Zeppelin, more like the 70s era. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, they are, for all intents and purposes, the Black Crowes are considered classic rock. Yeah, I would say. If you talk to the youngins. Presley says, didn't the Black Crowes sell the rights to their first album for like 15K? And they got screwed. Yeah, I heard the story. It's something along those lines where they definitely sold the rights, but then they recouped it. The story is that they went back, I guess, in a court of law and proved that they got screwed, and they actually got some of the money back. I don't know how much of the money, but imagine that. The first album was probably the biggest one they ever did, and they sold the rights to it. It's not an easy industry, let me tell you. Hey, Billy. Thank you for suggesting people push the like button. Thank you. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, the heroin addiction and the drugs never helps. The Black Crowes had their own challenges with that, but so does most of the bands. Look at Aerosmith. They postponed their shows in Vegas because of Steven Tyler. He's back in rehab again. Even at his age, it's hard to kick. It's hard to kick those demons. But it's good for him. At least he's trying to get back on track as much as possible. I have a feeling he'll do it. He'll do it. But it's a challenge. It's a lifelong struggle, man. Octopus ears. If they're solid wood guitars, a plastic guitar won't exactly age like wine. You're right. I'm assuming they're not plastic guitar. I'm talking about acoustics now, right? Unless it's one of those older Ovations with the rounded, plasticky back that I used to have one of those. Those don't age the same way, I would assume. But I used to have a really nice, a really nice acoustic guitar. Actually, a couple of really nice acoustic guitars, but I had an Alvarez, which I purchased for not that much money. I think I paid it back in the day, maybe $500. But I had this beautiful Alvarez for many years, and it played really well. Had such a beautiful touch, and as it aged, it definitely sounded better to me. I eventually sold it because I went and got a Taylor, which I sold, and then eventually got a Martin, and so on and so forth. Let's talk about gear, guys. Let's talk about some gear since NAMM is happening. Actually, happening. It's almost over. Is it just me? But NAMM just this year flew by. It's like I blinked and I missed it. In a way, it was kind of anticlimactic. I didn't really feel like I got into the NAMM hoopla this year as much. But there was a couple of interesting things that came out at NAMM, so I want to talk about those. And if you guys saw anything cool that you want to talk about specifically from NAMM, let me know. There was a couple of interesting things that I saw. One of the things that I thought was pretty cool was the new Vega Trem for Telecasters. Have you guys seen this? Man, my dog's snoring. She's under the desk because it's cool down here. She's right like by my feet in front of me, and she's snoring like crazy. I'm just gonna let her snore. It's fine. So yeah, the Vega Trem came out with a really cool Vega Trem for Telecasters. I kind of have mixed feelings about that because I'm thinking, well, why would you want to put a tremolo on a Telecaster? But then again, I'm thinking, well, if you do want to put a tremolo on a Telecaster, you don't have many options, especially if you're dealing with a string through body design. The cool thing about this Vega Trem is that it actually adapts to the string through design. The springs actually get loaded inside of the holes in the back of the Telecaster, and it has an arm and everything, and you don't have to modify your guitar, which is pretty cool. So it's reversible. So I'm thinking that's pretty cool. I personally would not necessarily want to put a tremolo on a Telecaster, in my opinion, because a Telecaster is a Telecaster. Want to keep it true to what it is. I got other guitars that I can use if I want to put, if I need a tremolo. But yeah, so it's interesting. Will it be popular? I'm sure there's a lot of people that would like to put tremolos on a Telecaster. I, for one, am not. But you never know. So I still thought that was cool. Rico had a ticket to NAMM but decided not to go this year. How come, Rico? Fat Philosopher's excited about the lefty Ibanez Jiva. Yeah, lefty guitars. We need more lefties. I agree. I'm glad Ibanez is taking, paying attention to the left-handers out there. Hey Corey, nice to see you, buddy. I think you're new. I haven't seen you here before. Maybe I missed you last time. But he says I got a 1981 Vantage Avenger made in Japan, 3 single coils like a Strat, with an extra mini toggle that puts positions 2 and 4 out of phase for a really thin sound. That's pretty cool. A friend of mine used to have a Vantage. I remember those guitar models. I don't have much use for the out of phase toggle. I have a couple of guitars that had that, but never really used it because, like you mentioned, it's kind of like it becomes a really thin sound. Liptech says NAMM is not really needed any longer. Yeah, it's still nice to run into a couple of famous people, maybe some YouTubers, not necessarily me, but I'd love to run into guys like Phil X or Rick Beato or, other people that I watch and I like. So there's always the human aspect, but then again, I don't know how often that actually happens that you can, talk to somebody like that, but it would be pretty cool. NAMM flew by for sure, says Surfer by. Also, a lot of YouTubers with subscribers didn't attend for various reasons. I guess they're busy, and it's expensive. At the end of the day, I think most YouTubers probably would like to walk the show and make contacts and possibly get some gear for review and all that kind of stuff. It's a networking type of thing. But maybe after a while, when you have a lot of subscribers, there's people probably knocking on your door, so you don't necessarily have to go looking as much. So Davis says, I like the Soldano Mini. Yeah, that was one of the things that I noted. The Soldano Mini seems very cool to me. If you guys haven't seen this already, you're going to see it because it's everywhere already. I mean, a lot of YouTubers have already come out with videos. I guess they kind of did a pre-launch blitz and asked everybody to sort of sit on it till NAMM, and now you can see them all over the place on YouTube. So basically what it is it's a mini slow. The Soldano, it's like a 100-watt Soldano, except it's in a small package, very tiny. Mind you, it's not tube driven. Okay, so this thing is really slow, very small, not tube driven. It's transistor, but it sounds killer for what it does. The only thing, I mean, the good is it's small, it's cheap. I think it's like $249 US. It sounds killer with the drive. The bad is it's transistor, it's not tube, but I guess that's part of the reason why they can make it so small. And the other thing is it's kind of like a one-trick pony. You know what I mean? It does a really nice drive sound. There's a crunch and there's a drive, but there's no clean. So they don't have any clean on this amp. It has the standard like settings as a master, a presence, a treble, middle, bass, gain, and there's a few switches like you can do normal and deep and whatnot. But you can only go from crunch to drive. There's no clean in that at all. So if you're looking at something that's going to be flexible, where you'd be able to take one amp and play that amp with for various types of sounds, you're not going to really be able to do it with the slow. But honestly, at like less than it's $249, it's a killer sound. It sounds really good, in my opinion, for transistor, right? So if you want to get that sound, might as well grab one. What the hell? Or maybe wait till they start popping up used and grab one for like $100, $150. I remember when the Jet City amps were quite popular. I don't know if you guys remember the Jet City amps. That was kind of the same idea. I think Jet City was a circuit, a Soldano circuit that Mike Soldano created for Jet City. I had tried that amp a couple of times and had a great drive sound to it, but that was about it. You couldn't really get it to clean up. So it was quite limited in that regards. So, they're jumping on the bandwagon. There's a few, Friedman came out with a small one. Now Soldano came out with a small one. Who else came out with a small one? I'm forgetting one. Anyways, there's a couple of other ones. The Jet City amps were great, lip tech, because they were tube, and you could mod them. They weren't unmoddable like these Soldano amps. I'm sure if you rip one open, it's probably going to be like micro circuitry. It's going to be the type of thing where the circuit board was probably made in a pick and place machine. So you have like micro components that are going to be very hard to change. So if you want to modify something like that, probably not going to be able to. The Jet Cities were still tricky to do that, but you still were able to do that. So, anyways, that's my opinion on that. I would still like to try one just to hear it. Paul says the Imperial Electrical Zeppelin is getting a lot of NAMM buzz. It's a song remains the same in a box. Yes, I know that one, Paul. If I'm not mistaken, the same company also came out with a version that is sort of it's supposed to be the slash sound. The thing that I don't really get is that you can mimic those sounds pretty easily with other pedals. Not one pedal, but a combination of pedals you can probably get in the ballpark. I don't know how much they're selling those pedals for, Paul, but I would imagine they're probably pretty expensive. Hey, Sun White Tea, nice to see you, buddy. Which model is that Harley Benton? This is the junior style guitar that they have, but I painted it. This is modified. So this originally only came in white and silver, and now I have one in Inferno Red. That's my version. But you can't, I don't think you can get that color from Harley Benton. Cool Tune says, finally got a matching cab for a PV Classic 20H. Very pleased so far. Great clean sounds. Not sure the V30 in it is China version or even know if it makes a difference. The V30s, I would think would be a nice match for the Classic 20H. That's another kind of underappreciated amp in my opinion. It's a great sounding amp, not that expensive, nice workhorse. If you're not sure that you like the V30, you can try the ET65s from Warehouse Guitar Speakers. I find those sound really nice as well. But V30s, you really can't go wrong with a V30 in my opinion. Let me catch up here. Have you tried one of the Monoprice / Harley Benton Stage Right 15-watt tube combos with a 12-watt Celestion? Seems to be a great amp. I have. I have a video on that, Liptech. If you go into my archive, you'll see it. Yeah, it's I liked it. I wasn't necessarily wowed by it, but I thought that for the money you were getting a pretty good amp. And I mentioned in that video, like, is it a Blues Junior killer? It gets close to sort of the sounds that you want to have that go beyond just blues. It has a little drive in there. But, I mean, you are still limited to the sort of budget type components and speaker as well. I plugged it into an external cabinet. It sounded better through the external cabinet, so that leads me to believe that an upgrade on the speaker might do or might give you a good improvement in sound. The thing is, how much money do you want to put into modding something like that? If you're going to start modding stuff like that, then you might as well just buy a better amp to begin with, in my opinion. Sunny says that the newer Harley Benton models are made by Cort in Indonesia. Yeah, I suspected that some of the models were being made by Cort. Cort is a huge organization, by the way. Cort makes guitars for a lot of brands. Like they private label for other companies, but they also have their own models as well. They've been building guitars for years. Very high quality, good quality stuff. So Paul says the Zepp is $230 for the pedal. I'm pretty sure it's a beefed up Boss SD1, which is a $60 pedal. Probably, could be. I can get some pretty cool Zepp tones with the pedals that I already have. You just blend a couple of pedals together, use your ears, you could probably get pretty close. I don't know if it's really worth spending all that money for one specific sound. Unless you're using the Zepp tone like day in, day out. Green Rumor, nice to see you, buddy. I think you're new here as well. Anyone know who helps with amp repair via Zoom? Amp repair via Zoom. Now, that's an original question. I didn't even think that was a thing. Um, I don't know anybody that would help you do amp repair via Zoom. What's the problem with your amp? Maybe we can help you out, buddy. Hey, Corey. Corey's got a question. He says, I have a monoprice 15-watt tube amp. I red housed it into. I red housed? I mean, I think you meant rehoused. Yeah, sorry, I can't read. I rehoused it into a 40s era record player cabinet and paired it with two Bell and Howell Filmo sound speakers from the mid 40s. Sounds really good. Maybe you should come out with your own amp with those specs. See how it catches on. Corey, you might be up to something, man. Yeah, Green Rumor, ask us some questions. Maybe somebody in here can help you out. Yeah, probably does sound better when you break in the speaker lip tech. But again, you know, I didn't keep it. I felt it was kind of, for what I need. I wanted to try it, but I didn't keep it. But for somebody who's maybe buying a first amp and doesn't have a huge budget, something to look at. The fact that it is tube, I think that's a plus. Fat Philosopher says, my new Harley Benton is well built, just having trouble adjusting to how hot those P90s are. Maybe you want to just lower them a little bit, Fat Philosopher, and just ease back on the drive. P90s tend to have a little bit more bite to them, so you got to kind of tame them a little bit. Good point, Surfer Bye. The guitar gear industry is like the pet industry. People love their pets and gear emotionally. Purchases, people will always buy. Yeah, and they're always looking for new stuff. That's the thing about gear addicts. Because they never think that they have the best gear. They always think there's more out there. At a certain point, you realize the stuff that you have is pretty good, and maybe you should just start practicing. The truth hurts sometimes, guys. It really does. Oh, man. Tony's dishing out the hard love today. Cool Tunes Made Easy says, I have my Blackstar 212 with 7080s in it. I have it for sale for 1 month. When I get replies, I get cold feet to sell it. Well, the good thing is that they're not rare. So you can, if you change your mind and you get seller's remorse, you can always rebuy it down the road. What are you trying to sell it for, Cool Tunes? What do you want? You want to buy something with it? You want to flip it to get something else? Or you're just taming down the herd? That's a good point, Octopus Ears. There's people that don't touch their volume knobs but buy 1,000 drive pedals. Yeah, it's true. It's true. I totally agree with that comment. That's a great point. One of the other things that I wanted to also talk about that I saw at NAMM is well, actually, there's two things. We mentioned the Vega Trem. We mentioned the Slow. Godin. You guys probably know Godin if you're from Montreal or from Quebec because it's more of a local brand. But Godin makes pretty good guitars. I'm not going to knock them for their quality. The quality of their guitars are good. But they released a version, and if you're not Canadian, you probably don't even know who this guy is. But Derry Grahan, who is the old guitarist of a band called Honeymoon Suite that were popular back in, was it the 80s, 90s? I don't even remember when it was, 2000s. Anyways, Honeymoon Suite, Canadian band. I don't know if you guys even remember if the If you're an American, maybe not. But anyways, they were pretty popular here in Canada. So they released a Godin version, which is sort of his signature, I guess, looking guitar, which is to me a lot like a Charvel. It looks like it's basically like a Super Strat. It's got a single coil EMG pickup in the neck. It's got a slanted humbucker in the bridge position. It's got a Floyd with a locking system, locking Floyd in it. It's got a unique paint job because it's got like the 80s kind of tire track uh, design on the guitar, high contrast colors like they used to be, like black and yellow. Um, Basically, I believe the body is maple and poplar combination. The neck is maple, fingerboard is maple. The radius, I think, on that is I don't know if it's a compound radius or not, but there's a Floyd, one volume, three-way toggle, so it's kind of like a hot rodded guitar. Reminds me a lot of a Charvel. Uh, I'm sure the guitar is built well, looks pretty cool, but here's the kicker. They're asking MSRP on this guitar is $2,700. That's US. US. So, good idea. I'm sure the execution is good. Bad price. I wouldn't buy one at that price. Sorry, guys. I don't care what you tell me. I don't care. You can buy a Charvel and, mod it, and you can get it for like $800 used with a Floyd, with a maple neck, slap in the pickups you want, and you're in business. There's no reason they should be selling this guitar for $2,700 US. Max 1,005, 1,007 Canadian. So I'm sure they're going to sell about 3, and then they're going to pull this off the market. I don't know, man. I think they're trying. They're looking at Gibson, and they're like, man, Gibson's doing this all day long, putting out really expensive signature models. Why don't we do the same thing? Sorry, guys. I'm giving that a thumbs down. I'm being honest with you guys. No interest in getting gouged, unfortunately. Okay, even if there's only 100 of those made, who cares? Big deal. Like, how popular was this guy anyway that I need to have a guitar model like that? I can pretty much take a Charvel, put an EMGs in it, do whatever wiring I need to do to mod it to those specs, and I'm in business. So why would I want to pay? I can get an $800 guitar and do exactly the same thing. Why would I want to pay like 3 times the price? I don't get it. I don't get it. But they're trying. I'm curious to see if they'll even sell the ones that they have. Maybe they will. Yeah, Vox, I saw Honeymoon Suite too. Actually, I saw Honeymoon Suite when I was in high school. They were playing an outdoor venue. They were cool. It was good. Back then, New Girl Now, yeah, Wave Babies, all those bubblegum rock songs. I like the paint job. Rico, I like the paint job. Black and yellow looks cool on a guitar. Let's face it. Actually, I'm thinking of doing something similar to that on another guitar that I have here. I'll be striping it with maybe tiger stripes or something like that. Maybe I'll go with black and yellow. Since the undercoat is already black, maybe I'll just spray a quick coat of yellow on top of it and do the stripes. But yeah, black and yellow is cool. I just don't like the price. Yeah, Martin, Martin, I agree with you, man. Too steep. You absolutely right. Why do we need to pay so much money? I don't get it. Somebody, if you guys want to sell guitars like hotcakes, the formula simple. Make a good guitar and make it inexpensive. You'll sell gazillions of them because that's what everybody wants. It looks like that's the formula that nobody can actually do for whatever reason. Anyways, Platinum Blonde. It doesn't really matter. Oh man, now you're bringing back some nightmares. Those are like, I remember that in high school. I was in high school when those guys, all the girls were teasing up their hair with like a whole can of hairspray. It was a definite fire hazard back in the day. I remember that. That's funny. I forgot about those guys. What about Glass Tiger? You guys remember Glass Tiger? I think they had like one song that was actually good. Dan of New Jersey says the depression on that guitar would be worse than driving a new car off the lot. Depreciation, yes. Yeah, absolutely. So, Fat Philosopher, you saw Honeymoon Suite 2? Cool. In Edmonton, no less. Rico says, Tony, agree. I know the band, but never heard of the guitarist. That orange reverse headstock looks sweet. I'm not big on reverse headstock, although I do have a guitar here that has a reverse headstock. It takes a little getting used to. It takes a minute. Monarch01367 says, my most expensive purchase was a Les Paul 2550 anniversary I bought back in 79, new from EU. Wurlitzer's in Boston, still have it and love it. That's great. I love those kind of stories. I love stories where somebody just walks into a store, buys one guitar, and hangs on to that guitar and loves it. That is what owning guitars should really be. Like, one, maybe two guitars. I know this is sacrilege, but I would love to, get rid of all these guitars if I could have one or two that can do it all. But I know that's not, for me, that's not possible. Maybe it's possible for you guys. I haven't, unfortunately, my reality is I haven't found one guitar to do it all yet. I'm still looking though. Martin says, go for yellow cat paws. Yeah, maybe my daughter would like that. Alan's Guitar Channel says black and yellow stripes was the look for Striper from the 80s. Yeah, exactly. I see, black and yellow. The Bumblebee Strat also. Eddie Van Halen, Bumblebee Strat. Rico says, Tony, it's funny, on the Premier Guitar Godin interview, the Godin rep said that the guitarist was the EVH of Canada. Let me think about that. The EVH of Canada? Well, I mean, he played kind of like a little bit flashy, but I wouldn't consider him the EVH of Canada. If we're looking at Canadian guitarists, guys, help me out if you guys are in Canada. Who would you say would be like one of the big name Canadian guitarists that would be like up there? I'm not gonna say like Eddie Van Halen up there, but let's say close. Who would you select? And I'm thinking, and I can't think of that many. From Canadian bands. I know the guitarist of Triumph was pretty good. He had some nice chops, but he didn't play like Eddie Van Halen. He was cleaner, different style altogether. So I get why they're probably saying, the Canadian Eddie Van Halen, but I think that's a little bit of a stretch. Beyond, guys, I didn't, this guitar paint job is not the only thing that I can talk about today. I also picked up another E-Art guitar. E-Art, whatever you want to call it. I might as well show you that while I have it handy. So give me a sec. I'll unplug this guy. It'll get a little noisy. Sorry about the noise, but that's what it is. It's right there. See it on the stand there? I think I might have shown it to you guys last week. I'm not even... My mind is going. All right, I'm back. Okay. Don't forget me when I'm gone. Yeah, that was another one. Don't forget. Yeah, I remember that one. Guys, I did it. I bought another one. I had to complete the set. I have the ERT, whatever you want to call it, Telecaster. Local guy was selling this, $200. I couldn't say no. Sorry, I'm weak, but I mean, guys, $200. Come on, like why wouldn't you grab it? Great neck. Okay, the pickups are not, let's say, cream of the crop. They are ceramic pickups, but it sounds. I wonder if I could. Anyways, I'm just like doing whatever, but a great guitar, man. Like, it's a sweet guitar. $200, you can't say no. And if I would find another one today, $200, different color, I probably would buy that one too. Because honestly, you can't build a guitar for $200. You know, you can't. Might as well grab them when you see them. If the guy is watching, I think the guy recognized me when I went to his house. He's like, "Hey, I know you. I seen you on YouTube." I'm like, "Yeah, maybe, could be." So maybe he's watching, maybe he's not. I don't know. But if you are watching, thanks. Great guitar. Hey, Saint Brando, nice to see you, buddy. Thank you for stopping in. Paul says Godin are playing on the signature thing. Only 500 are offered. Gibson only makes 20 or 30 at a time, and quietly stop when sales tank on a signature model. Godin knows this is how it's done. Yeah, they're probably going to do the same. Limited edition. You know, to me, when they say limited edition, what it really means is you can't buy this garbage forever. That's what it means. So that's what I think of limited editions. I think I'm jaded, guys. I might be jaded. Randy Bagman, yeah, Davis. Randy Bagman's, but he's not. He's not the Eddie Van Halen of Canada. Come on. How's the fretwork on this guitar? That's one of the main reasons I buy these guitars. The frets are great, like the Telecaster. There's nothing to complain about on this guitar, man. Slap in your preferred flavor of pickups. You're in business, man. There's not much else to have to change on this guitar. Cool Tune says the ERT very comparable to the Squire series? Question mark. I'm gonna say, like, there's not anything that you really need to change on this guitar immediately. Bone nuts, tuners are good, pickups are okay, bridge is okay, but the neck, the Strat style body, I mean, this looks. If I would, I don't have my Sir here, but if I would pull out my Sir, it's very similar to the Sir body shape, which I like. So there's not much not to like. Dan says for $200 the ERT or the ERT looks looks of better quality than the Jackson Dinky and Ibanez Geo at the same price point. Yes, I'm gonna say definitely better than the Ibanez Geo. I didn't really like the Ibanez Geo that I tried. I tried it just for fun. Didn't really like it. The Jackson Dinky, I have one. I like the shape of this neck and the feel of this neck better. The Jackson is a little bit thin, and the fretwork on this neck is way better. The tuners are better, in my opinion. And the Jackson headstock caused some tuning stability issues, where this one, the strings are straight, so you don't have that. How about Kim Mitchell? I don't think he could be considered the Canadian Eddie Van Halen, but he was a little bit flashy. Frank Marino. I forgot about Frank Marino. Thank you for reminding me about that, St. Brando. Yeah, Frank Marino. But Frank was more like, his style of playing wasn't really like Eddie Van Halen, mind you. There's not that many people that do play like Eddie Van Halen, but Frank Marino definitely had that classic rock kind of style. Yeah, definitely a great guitarist. I forgot about him. Sometimes, you gotta jog the memory. Monarch says, I have a 1966 Hagstrom 12-string electric. I'm doing over. Anybody have any tips on refretting? On refretting to share? Well, if you haven't done it before, get a professional to do it. That's one of my tips. Because honestly, you can mess up a guitar pretty bad if you don't know what you're doing with the fret jobs. Fret jobs are expensive though. If you bring it to a tech, they tend to charge a lot of money. It's very time consuming. Thankfully, I have so many guitars that I don't go through my frets quick enough to have to do a fret job. That's the key. You don't get a lot of guitars. Spread the play time over a bunch of guitars, and you never run out of frets. You never have to do a fret job. Is that considered a tip? Fat Philosopher says, how does position 4 sound on a HSS Strat? Well, again, you can't really hear it here because the speaker's behind me here. So that's the humbucker. That's the humbucker. This is the 4th. Humbucker. 4th position. Humbucker. 4th position. It's less bright, just a little bit less bright, a little bit less of a bite. Still sounds good. Leo says, seems all YouTubers are raving about eArt lately. SBF, Philip, Guitar Max, etc. I'm only raving because I'm cheap and I can grab this guitar for $200. Why wouldn't I rave? There's not that many guitars left today that you can grab for $200 on the used market. I saw he did an interview with Jeff Healey after he won the Greatest Canadian Guitarist Award. They asked him what it's like being the greatest Canadian guitarist. His response, the greatest Canadian guitarist? I mean, he definitely was good. More along the SRV style than the EVH style, I gotta say. But yeah, he definitely was able to kick. Definitely stands out there in terms of a Canadian guitarist. The only thing is, unfortunately, his career didn't last very long. And when you play blues, it's hard enough to get recognition when you play blues in the States, but when you play blues in Canada, it's even harder. Octopus here says, Ibanez have some sweet paint jobs for cheap, though. Yeah, if you like the crazy colors, I guess. But if I had to choose, I'd probably go over quality of the build and overall features of the guitar, as opposed to just the color of the guitar. Fat Philosopher says my daughter has an Ibanez Geo. You know, as a starting guitar, it's not bad, but I'm pretty sure once she gets better, she'll soon want to upgrade from that guitar to something a little bit more substantial. Hey, Cool Tunes, thank you for the super chat, buddy. Thank you, man. I appreciate the support, dude. Thank you. Rock on, brother. Aldo Nova? Aldo Nova? Yeah. Aldo Nova he had some chops. He ran into some hard times, though, I think. I think at one point Aldo Nova ended up in psychiatric ward, if I'm not mistaken. Rico says, I played Phil's old Earth Telecaster. He has it as at Zims. Played like a squire. Fretwork was great, though. I like it. I like the guitar. The shoe company guy. Sorry, I don't know who you're referring to, Quicksilver. Corey says, anyone remember Wild T in the Spirit? Dude could play. Yeah, I remember Wild T in the Spirit. I remember those guys. When Frank was playing with Mahogany Rush, Eddie was 10. Yeah, he's an older, old timer. I'm surprised he hasn't ever come back. I think he was having issues playing, some physical issues, something just not being able to play. I think he had some kind of disease, or I don't want to put false rumors out there, but I think he had some kind of health issues which kind of stopped him from being able to play. He had to kind of learn how to play guitar all over again, from what I understood. Okay, let me just scroll down here. Octopus here says, I'm just a guitar snob, I suppose. If I bought a $200 guitar, I'd never pick it up over my other guitars. That's what I thought too. That's not what happened though. I have some other pretty expensive guitars, and as you'll see, they're rarely in the rotation behind me. So probably two of my most expensive guitars, let's say three of my most expensive guitars, are rarely in the rotation here. So that tells me that either I bought those guitars for the wrong reasons or I should stop spending money on expensive guitars because I don't get enough wear and tear out of them. I like to take care of my guitars. That's one of the reasons why I don't usually take the more expensive guitars and leave them on the stands behind me here. I do enjoy playing them though, but I don't play them as often. So bang for the buck in terms of playtime, the more expensive guitars definitely have less play hours than the more affordable ones. I agree with Dan. Absolutely. I tend to keep my expensive guitars off the racks here and in the case because you don't want them to get damaged. We're weird. Aren't we weird? I think we're weird. I'm not finished talking about NAMM, guys. I got distracted there. So the other thing, I mean, the mini slow is pretty cool, I have to admit. The Black Star St. James is another option also for people that want smaller size guitar, light guitar with some nice features in it that is not transistor, it's actually valve, and has a bit more power. It's 50 watts. Not only that, it has the built-in what they call the DSP speaker simulator, so you can actually plug it in via USB and do direct recording and stuff like that. So I haven't tried one yet. If I could find one in a store, I would definitely take it for a spin around the block. A little expensive, $1,299. And I think that's the U.S. price, if I'm not mistaken. So, and I think that's for the head. So, you know, cool features. I would have to see how it sounds, how well it performs, but definitely a lot more expensive than the slow. I find that from what I heard from the slow videos, uh, definitely sounded good to me. In terms of if you want a guitar to play Eddie Van Halen type stuff, the slow would do it, and it's cheap, you know. So I give the good with the bad, you know. The other thing that caught my attention also was the Little Rat, which is a the Proco Rat pedal, but in a smaller, much smaller version. Because I never understood why it had to be so big. More and more people are trying to get their pedal boards down to a manageable size, and here, you know, their companies are coming out with really big pedals. It's nice to see the smaller versions. So they came out with the Little Rat, which I suppose they could have called the Mouse because it is smaller. It's about 99 bucks. I think it's about the same price as the full sized one. So it's a smaller enclosure. It's got the jack inputs and outs on the top, which I think is a great idea. That's where they should be on most pedals, I think, just to fit smaller enclosures more easily. Sounds just as good as the big one, I think. Um, so, you know, why not grab one if you want that classic distortion sound? Alan says, regarding cheap, have you checked out the Bad Cats? Their kits look interesting also. I did have a conversation with the people over at Bad Cat very briefly, but the communication was terrible. I wasn't able, I mean, they were saying, yeah, we want to send, you know, we want to send you a guitar to review and whatnot. Never happened. So I don't know. But then again, the whole COVID thing happened, so I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. But if they're still interested in sending over a guitar for a review, I'd like to check it out and give you my unbiased opinion on it. I know there's a lot of people showing these guitars, but I don't know how good they actually are myself, so I don't want to comment. I'm reserving my comment till I get a chance to actually try it myself. Uh, I wore the gold finish off the bottom of my neck pickup on my Gibson 2550. It's no case queen, lol. It sounds way too nice to sit in the case. So that's definitely what you want to hear. Yeah, you know, but the gold, to be honest with you, gold plating on any guitar comes off really easy. Most of the gold plating will eventually come off just due to sweat and touching the gold plating. It's very thin. Dan Smith says the Slow Mini is cheap. Sad that just 12 months ago you could get the Jet City Slow for only $429. People need to buy now or pay high later. Shame. Yeah, prices don't stay where they are. Unfortunately, everything's getting more expensive. I'm surprised that they even released it because they were probably sitting on it for a while because of the fact that they were probably not able to get components for it. My dog snoring away. And the other thing I wanted to also mention, guys, really quickly, I don't know if you guys saw this in passing, but PV seems to be auctioning off a bunch of stuff. They're actually auctioning off $12 million worth of old, unsold guitars, amps, and raw materials. So it looks like they're cleaning shop. So if you guys are interested in maybe grabbing some stuff, they're basically offloading this selection of parts, components, tools, you know, basically stuff that's lying around in the garage, so to speak. But it's about $12 million worth. This is supposed to happen, I think, on the 7th of August. Oh, sorry, no, this is old news. I saw this, I thought this was recent. No, this happened already. Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. I'm uh, I'm distracted here. They did this already. Um, so they were actually liquidating stuff. Okay, it makes sense now because I'm thinking, why would they be doing this now? I know that PV was kind of in financial difficulties a while ago, so maybe they figured this would be a good way of like liquidating stuff that's not being used, generating some cash flow. Um, I'm hoping they're doing better. I would hate to see PV disappear, even though they can be doing so much more. Octopus here says, "What Martin do you have, Tony? I probably have a hard time putting that down. I'm gassing for a Street Master." Yeah, the Martin I have is a semi cutaway. It's a really nice Martin guitar, but I also have recently I also picked up a Epiphone, a really nice Epiphone guitar that I showcased on my videos. The inspired by version, like the Dove Hummingbird, not the Dove, the Hummingbird. That's a nice guitar too. Not as nice as my Martin. The Martin sounds crisp and really nice. Not as big as a sound on the Martin. Uh, Two different beasts. That's why I can justify having both. But yeah, those acoustic guitars are great. I just don't play acoustic as much as I should. Um, I don't have them usually lying around here because my dog's gonna knock it over and stuff like that. So when it's in the case, and I'm gonna grab a guitar, I'll just grab what's here. If I had the acoustic here, I'd probably play the acoustic more, but I tend to leave it in the case. Acoustics are more susceptible to like temperature and humidity changes and dryness and all that kind of stuff. So I try and keep it in the case. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the stuff was sold in huge lots. They probably wouldn't want to sell it in as onesie twosies, Bruce. It probably was being sold off to other liquidators, I guess. I don't have any. I don't have any other PV stuff left over. Um, I did have a Bandit, Red Stripe Bandit at one point. I did have a Classic 30 at one point. Classic 30, 1 by 12. Then I had the 2 by. I actually had the 2 by 12 first, then a 1 by 12, and the Bandit. And that's all I ever purchased from PV. Didn't have any other gear from PV. But they were, all solid amps. Never had issues with them. Liptech says, I love and highly recommend the Cyatone guitar amps as some of the best hand-wired tube amps out there. Never heard of them. Cyatone? Ah, Seriatone. Yes, of course. I know Seriatone. Yes. I've been eyeing Seriatone amps for a long time. I've never actually pulled the trigger on one, although I was considering pulling the trigger on a Trainwreck. The Trainwreck clone that they made was interesting to me. Never actually bought one. Their prices at one point were reasonable, then they kind of went up. And then when you factor in shipping duties and all that stuff, and not being able to try them before you buy, I kind of that train kind of left the station for me. I never actually ended up buying one, but they do have a good reputation. Apparently, they do sound great. If you could, if you can get a clone of something that's no longer being made, I know they make some Dumble clones. They make the Trainwreck clones. These are amps you can't buy anywhere else, So it would be interesting to try those out. Yeah, the Classic 20 is a pretty decent amp. A lot of people will try and put in a different speaker in there to get more of that Fendery sound, but it's just the limitation of the circuit. You're never really gonna get that Fendery sound out of it. I did a video review. If you check my archive on my Classic, my PV Classic, I changed the speaker in there. I changed the reverb tank in there. just trying it to sound a little bit closer to a Fender amp, you can't, because it's not even using the same type of tubes. The circuit is just too different, but it still sounded good, and the upgrades I made to it did make the amp sound better. I just wasn't able to get the sound that I was after. Rico wants to know if I've played the new Gamma amps. Seem like an inexpensive pedal platform with Bluetooth. Nope, haven't. Sorry, Rico. Haven't checked it out yet. Liptech says I own a Seriatone 50 watt Plexi 1987X model, and it is built better than a real hand wired Marshall. In terms of the build quality, I'm sure they're built super well. Positive of that. As far as the sound goes, who knows if they actually sound as good as a 1987X that is hand wired. I had a 1987X that wasn't hand wired. Killer amplifier, just too darn loud. That's why I ended up getting the Marshall down right there. This guy ended up getting the Studio 20, which is a killer amp. Great. It's extremely loud. It can get you that beautiful Marshall sound, but it's less expensive, smaller, and not as loud. I remember the PV Studio Chorus 212. Yeah, a friend of mine had one. Yeah, I remember. Loud and heavy. I remember that. But it did sound good, though. Yeah, Charles, I'm the same way, buddy. And those old PV classics are not necessarily... They don't pop up as often anymore. You gotta grab them quick. I think they go pretty fast when they do pop up. Surfer By says, I just took you outside to my yard, Tony. Had to let the dog out. Beautiful day here in Boston, but I see I need to do some yard work. Yeah, man, I did some yesterday. It's painful when you haven't done yard work in a while, but you got to do it. You got to keep up. Otherwise, you just fall behind. All right, guys. Well, listen, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave it at that because I've been talking an hour and a half right now. I think we're good to go for Sunday. What do you guys think? Are we good to go, or do we stick around a little longer? I don't know. I'm up to either or. But I know that some of you have other things to attend to on Sunday, so maybe perhaps we cut it at this point. Liptech says a real Marshall and a 50 watt hand wired model costs over $3,000, and a Seriatone is a similar spec, only 1,400 shipped. If you want to get a really good hand wired amplifier like a Marshall, and you want to get one that is like full tilt 100% Marshall tone, check out the Rocket Retro amps. Kevin at Rocket Retro makes killer amps. The last time I checked, I think they were selling for about $1,500. Maybe his prices went up, but you cannot beat the quality. You can send him a message, he's going to answer you in about like 2 minutes. Great guy, solid Marshall amps. He makes them himself, small time operation, but he puts the care, great actually quality components. I had one. The only reason I sold it was it was too darn loud. It was just too loud, but it was a fantastic amplifier, and I would definitely buy one again. But it was just too loud. If you can buy a used Friedman, it's not a bad move. I agree. My Dirty Shirley here behind me. I'm always in the way, guys. I don't know. You can't even see the stuff. The Dirty Shirley's right there. That is a killer Marshall sounding amp, but it's like the recorded Marshall. That the difference between the Marshall Studio Plexi and something like a Friedman Dirty Shirley is that the Marshall Studio Plexi needs to be cranked, really cranked loud, to be able to get that Marshall sound that you hear on the record. The Friedman Dirty Shirley can get you that sound at a lower wattage just because it's got such a great master volume. It never cleans up 100%. It's always got a little hair on it, but it's great. And definitely one of the best amps that I own. Definitely. Fat Philosopher says I skipped his question. Uh-oh. I hope we're not having a replay of what happened last time. Fat Philosopher. Fat Philosopher, let me go back. Let me go back. Sorry, man. I skipped your question. I don't want to offend Fat Philosopher. He's he's been on the show forever, and he's a great member of the show, and we want to make him happy. Let's go back. What was the question? I'm trying to go back. I don't see it here. How far back is your question, Fat Philosopher? I'm scrolling pretty far back. I don't see your question, man. Okay. Can anybody, if somebody sees the Fat Philosopher's question, can you just copy and paste it again? Because I don't see it on my end. And I know we had this problem a couple of shows back where I wasn't seeing his comments. I don't know why that happens. So can you please either ask it again, Fat Philosopher, or can somebody just copy and paste it for me, please? And I'll answer the question. Yeah, I think it's happening again. In the meantime, Alan is asking, my only PV gear ever is my bass amp, a big combo. It's just okay, but it was free and would probably benefit from a Black Widow upgrade. Yeah, but putting in a Black Widow in that thing would also make it probably 50 pounds heavier. So I don't know if that's... Fat Philosopher, I don't see any question under the last one. So can you just copy and paste it again, please? That's the easiest way. Eddie's like, uh-oh, here we go again. Rico's like, I don't see it either. I think Fat Philosopher's just looking for attention. And Rico says, I missed his too. Uh-oh. Rico, where's your question? Just ask the question again, guys. Sorry if I missed it. Rico, let me go back and see what your question was here. Sorry. Maybe it's just something wrong or something glitchy. I don't see Rico's question here. Oh, here we go. Rico says, Tony, I was playing with the new Soldano Mini last night. The effects loop works great. So Rico, yeah, so Rico got his hands on the Soldano Slow, the Mini. So Rico, tell us a little bit. Give us your feedback on it, man. No pun intended. Just let us know. How do you like it? Was it a good buy? Would you buy it again? What are the shortcomings? I'm curious to know if you think it's a one-trick pony or not. Because in my opinion, I'm like, it probably will be it's a killer amp for drive, but at the end of the day, does it turn out to be a one-trick pony? Fat Philosopher just asked it again. I don't see it here, man. I don't know what you did last time, Fat Philosopher, when we finally got to see your questions again, but do it again, because it's almost like you have a time, a number limit on how many questions you can ask, and it's like it's blocked you for some reason. I don't see it. I don't see it. If anybody else sees it out there, guys, just copy and paste Fat Philosopher's question so I can see it. Steve says, Tony Sweetwater is having a Gear Fest giveaway on their website. I got to check that one out. Thanks, Steve. Thanks for letting me know. They're always having some kind of a giveaway. I don't know if Canadians are eligible for these giveaways, though. I would have to check that out. Fat Philosopher, nope. I don't see it, man. Sorry. I don't know why. Can you try a different device, or can you try perhaps leaving the chat, coming back in? I don't know. Liptech says your chat is hesitating when it posts what we write. I don't know. Maybe it's a glitch. Maybe the system is just getting too tired. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, refresh the page, Fat Philosopher. Maybe it's just a refresh thing. Or maybe YouTube doesn't like me. Might just be a glitch on your end. I don't see why everybody else can post and you can't. That's kind of weird. Have you paid your internet bill? Rico says Soldano Mini is really cool. It can clean up a little, but yeah, pretty much rat crew tones. Excellent bedroom amp though. That's what I'm thinking. Like, it would make a great practice amp. You know, leave the pedals, just take the amp. You don't have to worry about the drive. That's what I would use it for. Rico says, Tony, can you give us a 1-minute tutorial on your paint prep, paint type, wet sand, clear coat? Thanks. I can try. Rico, how do I do it? Depends on the type of guitar that I'm going to paint. I'll use a different approach. If the guitar body is not painted, if it's raw wood, then you definitely want to seal, raise the grain with some water, sand it back a few times. You want to definitely seal the grain. Otherwise, you're going to be putting paint on that guitar till the cows come home. It's just going to sink right into the grain. So you want to use some kind of a sanding sealer and re-sand it flat. You can use a primer just to make sure that the paint will stick. Make sure you're using primer that is compatible with the paint and compatible with the clear coat that you're going to be using, because they're not all compatible. Typically, if I paint a guitar like that one I didn't even strip the guitar. I just painted right over the existing paint. I didn't even use any kind of primer. I just went for it. I used Duplicolor paint. Those are car paints. I painted the red directly on the existing white that was already there, because the white was already kind of matte. I just kind of scuffed it a little bit so that the paint had something to stick onto. And then let it dry, and applied 2K clear, which is a really good quality car clear, very shiny. It has a catalyst in it, so you actually have to push the bottom of the can, and it releases the catalyst into the paint. And then once you do that, you have about 48 hours to use that paint. Otherwise, you can't use it anymore. I did about 2 cans worth, or a can and a half worth of clear. Made it dry between coats, so in all probably 3 or 4 coats. And then started sanding it. Usually I start with about 800 grit, 800, 1000, 1200, 1500, all the way to about 3000 grit. And then I do compounds. I basically use polishing compounds with a buffer, and just shine the heck out of it. It's a long process. You can mess it up if you don't know what you're doing, but basically, it's very gratifying when it turns out nice. So that is the quick process. I don't know if that answers your question there. Beavis says, if it's sealed, you don't need to prime. I go straight from paint to sealer all the time. The only reason I say sealer, paint, primer is because I've had issues with incompatibilities between sanding sealers and some paint in the past. So I like to be on the safe side. So Fat Philosopher is asking about locking tuner. So what I don't understand, Fat Philosopher, is if you can ask about, if you can type it in now, why not just retype your question? You're asking about locking tuners. Let me go back here and see if I can. Fat Philosopher, how does position 4 sound on a... I already answered that one. That wasn't his question. He's going to ask me on Instagram. Okay, so let me see here. Let me go to my Instagram. Let me see if I got your question on Instagram here, Fat Philosopher. Give me a sec. Haven't gotten it yet. Okay, here we go. You sent me a reel. Ask your question on Instagram, Fat Philosopher. I'll answer you, okay? That's really weird, Fat Philosopher, that we can see your comment. Like you're obviously able to type stuff, but when you type in your question, it doesn't show up. Are you putting in a special character? Are you putting in a question mark? Or maybe just try and type it with no question mark? That's really weird. That's really weird. Okay. Anyways, he says, my question was, does it make a difference if you put no winds on your locking tuner? The only reason you really need to put a wind on a locking tuner, you wouldn't have to do that. Because a locking tuner obviously locks the strings. The whole point of it is to be able to change the strings quicker. But on the other hand, I like to wrap a couple of winds on my locking tuner, because if ever the string should break, like sometimes locking tuners will slip because it's only a little piece of the string left over that's gripping on, and if it slips, it's hard to stick it back in there. So if you wind it a couple of times, you just have some extra string to grab. That's the only reason. That's the only reason you do that. You don't have to do it. And I don't really go crazy. I don't go out of my way to use locking tuners anymore. I don't mind winding the strings. I think actually if you wind the strings properly, you don't really need locking tuners. The puppy, yeah, the puppy's with us. She's snoring underneath my desk. You could probably hear her. Here, let me put the microphone here. You can hear. Listen to this. She's sleeping like a baby. She likes to get under the desk here because it's cool. All right. Okay, guys. Yeah, I should do a simple and guitar finishing don't go together. That's the problem. You know, it's just I've done a video where I was showing the process in photos and step by step when I was making my Frankenstrat. So you might have seen that, but yeah, it's a long process, man. It takes a long time. No, it's definitely snoring, Quicksilver. It's not wheezing. All right, guys. We're almost at the 2-hour mark here. So I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to make it so that you guys have 15 minutes back before the hour, before 12 o'clock, so you can go have some lunch and get your day going, perhaps practice your music, or, you know, take your gear out and play. Enjoy the rest of the Sunday if you're dealing with a beautiful Sunday like we're doing here in Quebec. But give me a thumbs up if you guys like today's live chat. I want to thank the new people out there. A couple of new faces and great questions, by the way, guys. Thank you for your patience. Thank you, Fat Philosopher, for re-asking your question. I don't get it. I don't know what the issue is. and I hope other people are not having the same issue, because I don't want to miss anybody's questions. But hopefully we'll figure it out at one point. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for just being here and making this show a lot of fun for me on Sundays. I appreciate all you guys tuning in regularly. I'll be here once again next Sunday, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So don't forget to please tune in. I'll probably have other videos up on my channel. So don't forget to tune in to the Porter one that I'm going to be posting tomorrow, and the other cool pedal reviews are also going to be coming. All right, guys? Stay tuned for some other great videos on Addicted to Gear. Leave your comments on the videos. If you have any questions, you can also reach me on my my regular email. I'll answer your questions. You can reach me on Instagram as well. And, you know, feel free to ping me if you have a question. I'll try and answer all of the questions as much as I can. It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys, and it's always great to see what projects and stuff you guys are working on. So if you have a guitar build, or if you're thinking about modding something and you have a question, just ask away. All right, guys? Thank you. Have a great Sunday. See you soon. Take care.